What's up everybody, I'm HoopsandHipHop and welcome to another Kanto video. If you missed the first one last week, I am going to be doing one Kanto themed video every week leading up to the release of Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee to celebrate the game's release since we're less than a month away. In this video in particular, we're going to be highlighting some amazing theories that have been created over the years concerning things featured in the Kanto region, and trust me, every single one of these is really fascinating. Now, I definitely do not claim to be the author of any of these theories. These theories are just ones that have popped up on the internet over the years and have gained traction as popular and likely theories due to their strong evidence. With that being said though, Kanto definitely has a lot of interesting and fascinating theories to offer, so why don't we go ahead and just dive right in. Okay, this first one is a pretty big one that you might have heard before, and that is the theory that Team Rocket are actually good guys in the first generation of Pokemon games. In Red, Blue, and Yellow and their remakes, Team Rocket are the main antagonists. However, this theory suggests that Team Rocket might actually be the good guys trying to help Kanto, and you actually inadvertently as the player end up stopping their plan to save the region. Now, the entire idea of this theory stems from Mewtwo. Mewtwo is, of course, a cloned Pokemon that was created by Team Rocket, and this theory suggests that Mewtwo basically got out of control, much like it did in Pokemon the first movie, and was a threat to cause great harm to the Kanto region, and so throughout the plot of Red, Blue, and Yellow and their remakes is actually Team Rocket's attempt to stop Mewtwo. Now, as crazy as this theory might seem, there's actually a huge amount of very strong evidence in support of it, and it all circles around each one of Team Rocket's targets throughout the game. Now, the first time that you see Team Rocket in these games is in Mount Moon, and they are trying to obtain some Pokemon fossils there, presumably to sell them for money. Now, while this theory suggests the same thing, that they're trying to get money from the fossils, it suggests that the reason why they're trying to get money for the fossils is to buy the Master Ball so they can catch Mewtwo before it causes any harm. This idea is also backed up by Team Rocket's entire plot to take over Silph Co, because as we know, Silph Co is the company that developed the Master Ball, and that's where you get it in the game. But since you as the player previously stopped Team Rocket's plan to get fossils to sell money to buy the Master Ball, and because times are growing more desperate with Mewtwo's threat growing ever closer, Team Rocket had no choice but to break into Silph Co to try and steal the Master Ball, which seems like a bad thing, but with Team Rocket's knowledge of this threat, it's really the only option they had at that point, because their previous attempts to stop Mewtwo were thwarted inadvertently by none other than the player yourself. Speaking of you, the player, stopping all of Team Rocket's other attempts to stop Mewtwo, there was also the attempt that came before their Silph Co invasion, and that was their attempt to capture a Ghost-type Pokemon. Before trying to steal the Master Ball, Team Rocket also stole the Silph Scope and infiltrated Pokemon Tower. Now, why would this be exactly? Why would they need to infiltrate Pokemon Tower exactly? This theory suggests that the reason Team Rocket wants to infiltrate Pokemon Tower with the Silph Scope is in order to catch some Ghost types that they can use to combat Mewtwo, since Ghost type is strong against Psychic type. Now, in Generation 1, granted Ghost wasn't strong against Psychic, but this was more likely due to a glitch than an actual game mechanic, and either way, it's currently strong against the Psychic type, which obviously helps the theory. So basically, Team Rocket was just trying to stop Mewtwo before it became a legitimate threat without publicly telling anyone and causing a wave of mass hysteria across the region. But of course, you being the noble and heroic trainer inadvertently thwarted all of Team Rocket's attempts to save the region, thereby putting the Kanto region in grave danger with no one left to stop Mewtwo themselves. Okay, so I feel like that first theory was a pretty good way to start the video, but this next theory also ties into that first theory even more, and it suggests that Coughing and Wheezing were actually created by Team Rocket as an attempt to create their own Ghost type in the likeness of Ghastly after they could not catch their own, once again in an attempt to stop Mewtwo. Points in favor of this theory is that Coughing and Wheezing are both gas Pokemon like Ghastly, they are both poison types like Ghastly, they are frequently used by Team Rocket. Wheezing itself looks like it could have a bit of a deformity, which could be the result of Team Rocket's experiments in creating this gas ghost Pokemon not going quite as planned. And finally, the bodies of Coughing and Wheezing themselves with the gas coming out of them could actually be cases that were constructed by Team Rocket in order to hold this gas Pokemon together into a consistent form. Now, given the previous possibility that Team Rocket was in Pokemon Tower to try and catch Ghost Pokemon to stop Mewtwo, it makes perfect sense that they would also try to create their own Ghost Pokemon once again to try to stop Mewtwo, either before or after this previous attempt to catch Ghost Pokemon failed. And I don't know about you guys, but personally, these two theories really have me wondering whether or not Team Rocket were actually the bad guys after all. Next up for our third theory of the video, we have the classic Kanto theory that Cubone was originally intended to be a pre-evolution of Kangaskhan. Now, you might have heard of this theory before, but we're going to go over the evidence again just for the fun of this video. The first point of evidence is that Cubone and Kangaskhan have a similar body type, and Cubone also looks similar to Kangaskhan's baby that resides in its pouch. Furthermore, in Generation 1, the glitched Pokemon M, who is a sister glitched Pokemon to Missy No, is capable of evolving into Kangaskhan, which has led some people to believe that there was originally a pre-evolution to Kangaskhan program into the game before it was removed for the final. And finally, this last piece of evidence is one that I don't think enough people really talk about or consider when discussing this theory, and that's that Cubone, when it was potentially reworked as its own Pokemon, could have been given the skull of its dead mother, not only to change its design from what it was originally, but also as a reference that it lost its original mother in Kangaskhan as its evolution when this idea was scrapped, who also just so happens to be the parent Pokemon. Speaking of classic Kanto theories, this next theory is one of the most widely accepted Pokemon theories of all time, and that's that Ditto is a failed clone of Mew. Now, basically everyone already knows this theory, so we're gonna go ahead and just summarize the major points in favor of it. Ditto and Mew both have the same exact colorations, both in their regular form and their shiny form. They also both have the same exact weight. They also are both capable of knowing Transform, and Ditto is found in the Cinnabar Mansion in the Generation 1 games, which is exactly the place where Mew was cloned into Mewtwo. And finally, for the last theory I'm going to be covering in this video, it's a bit of a different pick because it's not really a mainstream Pokemon theory and it's technically already been debunked, but the reason I'm still going to share it here is A, it's one of my favorite Pokemon theories of all time, and B, even though it's technically been debunked, all of the evidence still holds up perfectly, and it can still be argued that it has the chance to actually be true. This theory was created by none other than fellow PokeTuber Eevee, so I highly recommend you go check out his original video on this theory because all of the credit in the world goes to him. In short though, this theory suggests that Looker was on the SSN in the original Red, Blue, and Yellow games and was there when it crashed much like in the anime, which is why he was found in the Hoenn region with no memory whatsoever washed up on the beach. Points in favor of this theory include the fact that number 1, Looker was found in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire washed up on the beach with no memory whatsoever of what happened. Number 2, it's possible he could be on the SSN because the events of Ruby and Sapphire and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire happen at the same time as the original Red, Blue, and Yellow games and their remakes. And this theory gets even more convincing when you actually go onto the SSN yourself and you can find a person in one of the cabins who actually tells you that they're an undercover police agent, exactly like Looker, who is a member of the International Police. Now, as cool as this theory is, we actually learned in Sun and Moon that the real reason why Looker is on the beaches of Hoenn washed up with no memory whatsoever is because he is a faller. We learned in Sun and Moon that a faller is a person who falls through an ultra wormhole and gets sent to another dimension, and on the other end of that ultra wormhole, they end up with a complete case of amnesia, having no memory of what they experienced before falling through the wormhole. So even though this evidence kind of debunks our theory, it kind of doesn't at the same time, because none of the evidence that we presented in this theory was refuted or invalidated directly by this information. This information is just an unrelated explanation compared to our own theory, and when you think about it, the two could actually coexist pretty easily. This is because it's just as likely that Looker fell through this ultra wormhole while on the SSN or after the SSN crashed, as it is that he fell through it in any other location, because wormholes don't really discriminate on where they appear, and they appear rather randomly. In fact, this ultra wormhole evidence can actually be used in support of this theory, because while Looker washed up on the shores of Hoenn in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, the timeline with Mega Evolution, he initially appeared, supposedly, in Red, Blue, and Yellow and Fire Red and Leaf Green, which takes place in the timeline without Mega Evolution. So in order for this theory to work, he would actually have to cross timelines in some way, and the ultra wormhole gives him the perfect ability to make this happen, which really, truthfully, instead of debunking this theory, actually makes it all the more likely. And there we have it, everybody. Those were 5 of the best Kanto Pokemon theories of all time, in my own opinion. I really hope you guys enjoyed these theories, and I really hope you guys enjoy me covering theories on the channel, because I love coming up with them and covering some of my favorites. If you guys enjoyed the video, though, be sure to give it a like, and let me know in the comments below which one of these theories is your favorite, and please let us know in the comments if you have any other Kanto Pokemon theories that you would like to share. With that being said, though, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for new Pokemon content every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and because this video is celebrating the soon-to-be-released Let's Go games, definitely go check out my Twitter, because I'm doing a Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee giveaway there. All you have to do is follow me and like and retweet the contest tweet to enter, and you have until October 31st to do that, which is only a week away, so definitely get on that if you haven't already. With that being said, though, I will be back on Saturday for another video, so be sure to hit the notification bell so you can be notified as soon as it goes live, and until then, as always, I love you guys, and I will smell you guys later.